Hi, my name is Nacho, welcome back to the channel. And don't you think we are going through a weird phase in entertainment right now? Doesn't it seem like more and more content in TV shows, movies, comics and games keeps getting announced, and the first question that pops into your head is
why? Why? Why?
And when said products are released and predictably flop because of the very obvious red flags they had from the start that scared the customers away, the creators of that content start insulting the fans for not liking or buying their garbage. This phenomenon started off like an anomaly, but now pretty much feels like a norm, a very annoying one that we're very slowly learning how to make fun of. So in this terrible alternate timeline where investment companies have hijacked entertainment and are literally pushing for a behavioral change,
you have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year.
Surreal, dystopian story.
There are the occasional shimmers of hopes that capitalize on the simplest things but end up finding incredible success. So what do I mean with success via simplicity? Now the first thing you'll notice in the examples I'm going to mention is that the majority of them are not exactly simple. There's a lot of hard work and effort that went into them for people to be welcoming of their consumption. I recently watched Dune Part 2 in the cinema, and even though that movie is 3 hours long, it's probably one of the best sequels I've seen in a while. I was hooked to the story the whole way through, even rewatching some moments online due to how epic they were, and so far it has completely blown past the numbers of the first one. And coming from watching Madame Web in the theaters, oof, rough, I know, it reminded me how good things can be when adaptations stay close to their source. Now I haven't read the Dune novels, but I've consumed enough content online to know that this is what Paul Atreides' son eventually becomes. Good stuff, I'm definitely gonna read them. But the overall response to the adaptation of what many believe was an unadaptable book has been extremely positive. The acting is top-notch, with freaking Elvis delivering one of the most thirst-trappy villains I've seen in a long time. Timothée Chalamet has done an incredible job capturing the change from the guy who just wanted the best for Arrakis and Shani to this warlord who sets off a holy war that he knows, given his new psychic powers, is going to kill billions of people within the galaxy. And again, the score, the visuals, the pacing, the incredibly well choreographed action scenes that are focused and contained makes it a marvelous movie. And the one thing that made it such a phenomenon with people is exactly that. It's a good fucking adaptation, with some of the best memes online, which drive more engagement into the franchise, thus growing the IP in the right direction. Now compare that with Madame Web, a film that blatantly changed elements of the story to make it more sexy to a very small audience of people who don't normally consume that type of content, doesn't capitalize on the talent of one of their biggest stars, and has unflattering chatter around it, like the lead actress saying that she will never do a movie like this again due to the high level of corporate interference that denies the art from which blockbusters are born and produces the slop that we are so regretfully used to seeing being made nowadays. And to add more insult to injury, everyone who's seen Madame Web will say that the biggest mistake that movie commits is dressing up Sydney Sweeney, the internet's #1 girl, like this, when she normally dresses like this. Even the latest SNL show she hosted did so well on social media because it was basically Sydney in outfits everybody wanted to see her in. And people, including industry people, are still asking, why is everyone so obsessed with this girl? And the answer, it's very simple.
Big titty woman, and everybody loves a big titty woman.
Sex has always sold. Sex appeal is what built some of the biggest franchises in the world, from James Bond to Game of Thrones, the early bits at least, to even my previous example of Austin Butler being a sexy, bold psychopath in Dune. We all love to see beautiful people doing stuff, especially women. And the huge uprise of toxic feminism in some parts of Western entertainment, not only in movies but also in gaming and comics. You've probably heard about the battle that gamers are fighting against the very racist and sexist Sweet Baby Inc., a consulting company led by a marketing terrorist responsible for ruining some of the biggest games released lately.
Put this stuff up to your higher-ups, and if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
And people will think you're scummy.
I'm doing my part. But this sex appeal has been labeled as a bad thing, which is why the desexualization and uglification of female characters is so hardly enforced nowadays, because they are trying to establish a norm, due to the money being tied up to the agenda of wealthy companies. Now a game that's very hardly going against that agenda and has all the wokies mad about it is Stellar Blade. Man, God bless the Koreans. Now let me ask you this. Why do you think that the marketing for Resident Evil 8 was so good? Was it because of the relatively good continuation of a known franchise that changed a bit from their zombie origins and includes more elements of fantasy in there? Or because of the compelling gameplay? Or the return of legacy characters? Or perhaps was it simply because Big Mommy Lady Dimitrescu and her trio of sexy emo daughters,
Big titty woman!
who took the internet by storm when they were first announced and created one of the most deprived, yet epic, meme campaigns out there? And it's just one example of what I mean when I say companies giving consumers what they like. Something similar happened with the latest Final Fantasy and Square Enix giving the fans what they want, and making Tifa's rack look slightly bigger in a bikini, which brought a whole lot of attention to the game, fueled by the Tifa worshippers. The game also seems to be running pretty good, which only adds to the whole package. No pun intended. However, this welcome addition to the game was met with a day one patch of the previous game that covered Tifa's bazungas. Granted, you can have this censorship on toggled for gamers who might not want to see that much cleavage. But in response, the community created a mod to undo this change, which Nexus mod chose to ban. Now this again is a bit of a spat in the face of gamers, similar to what happened with the Starfield pronoun situation, and boils down to what really is being permitted or pushed to the consumers by certain companies or websites. To me, if the modding community makes something for the betterment of their experience within an IP that doesn't really affect the game in a negative way, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be allowed. Let me know in the comment section what you think, but to me this sometimes feels a bit dodgy. Some of the games that don't resort to this sort of tactics and are doing truly amazing are those that allow the players to have their fun. Baldur's Gate 3 spat on the face of the industry, giving gamers a full game that's being constantly updated without any microtransactions or any shitty corpo cash grabs. Palworld made Pokemon with guns in a somewhat finished product that gamers devoured, flooding their servers and completely shedding on anything Nintendo has done in the last couple of years. And finally, Helldivers made a sequel that everyone loved with microtransactions that are not utterly crazy, like charging the price of a full indie game, like what's being done in Diablo 4 that not long ago started selling a color patch for town portals priced at $30. Helldivers 2, the full ass game, cost $40. And again, simple things like releasing a finished game at a reasonable adjusted price that allows gamers to have as much fun as they want without any dumb ideologies being forced down their throat every second cutscene, made 3 relatively medium-sized companies sell millions upon millions of copies against a market filled with production juggernauts. So simplicity in ideas or methods that most of us would find logical is leading to great success in every aspect of entertainment. More and more creators are realizing this, and in a way going back to what used to be the way you made things back in the day, which is identifying who buys your products, learning what they like, and then making exactly that. But if you watch this far into the video, leave us a like. Thank you to my supporters over at Coffee, you guys are the best. Check out this video next if you want to know if the new avatar hits or misses the mark. And as always, I've been Nacho, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.